and welcome to the next installment of our video series talking about my spiritual journey. If you remember where we left off last time, it was kind of, tumultuous childhood, dealing with a lot of stuff with my father and stepmother, looking at their lives as being very hypocritical as far as Christianity is concerned, growing up in a Catholic household on one end and Assemblies of God on another, and just kind of coming to the realization that, hey, you know what? All paths probably lead to God. Well, this week I want to talk a little bit more about my interactions with my dad and my stepmother, kind of growing up throughout that time period. Through high school, I was Universalist, believing all paths lead to God. Undergraduate, definitely that way as well. And had this tension in that relationship with my father and stepmother. Then I was an undergrad, and my dad and stepmom announced that they were going to pursue Christian schooling. They wanted to go to school, and they wanted to learn more about their faith. They were thinking about possibly becoming pastors within the Assembly of God Church. And to me, I was very taken aback when they made that announcement. So part of that was because we already had this tension in our relationship. And now I'm thinking, well, I didn't know they had schools for this kind of thing. I knew they had schools for priests, but I didn't know they had schools for like Assemblies of God people to go learn about the Bible and Christianity. And all these questions started to go in my mind of like, is this going to make them more black and white than they were before, more hypocritical than they were before? Essentially, is this going to cause more tension in our relationship than we had even before? Is this going to cause us to distance from each other even more? And a funny thing happened when they started going to school. I actually watched a change happen in both their lives, where the outpouring of love towards people around them suddenly increased and continued to increase throughout that time. It was really winsome to see that. Now, I look back on it now, and what I realized was happening, even before they went to school, is that God was working on their lives throughout my entire life. And even though I couldn't see it, He was moving in their hearts, their minds, their hands, their interactions with others. But then it really blossomed when they started pursuing Him through school. I got to watch my parents fall in love with God. And that was really a really beautiful thing to see. And another interesting thing happened too between my father and my stepmother and myself. And that was that, a lot of these conversations that we had had before, where I would say they would come down and use the Bible as a hammer or as a weapon. Suddenly we were in those same conversations or the same dialogue. And instead of using faith and using the scriptures as a weapon, they suddenly used it to build bridges with me. They were able to sit in a lot of the gray area of conversation, and they would still have fully formed views that were backed by the Bible and the traditions of Christianity, but it wasn't so much like a top-down kind of thing, like, hey, Eric, you're wrong. Your worldview is wrong. You're too young. You're wrong. Here's the Bible verse that tells you you're wrong. It was just more of an open dialogue of them just being very frank with what their beliefs are, hearing where I was coming from. And to me, that was really beautiful to see and be a part of, because, of course, I think that they're going to regress or, again, become kind of a siloed couple away from our family. And instead, it grew our relationship even more so. And it would have a massive impact on the next step of my journey, which is moving to Chicago and going to graduate school. So I'll talk to you about that in the next video. Thank you so much for joining me, and God bless.